then I'll copy it. Now we're broadcasting, you need to be doing something.
Okay. Try writing the link as it is there. It's I.
This one is L.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you're aware, we are supposed to have tea now, but our caterer has disappeared. We still have to wait until 10:30 as we are waiting for people to speak. So we'll be with you at 10:30 from it.
Okay, yeah, it's working. Okay, can you try changing its camera so you can see? Change to this. So it should change in a minute. A bit slow. Yeah. So something like that. Yeah, the internet connection is very weak. Where is the plane? What? It's using it. Yes. So that's why it's so slow.
Changing after a while.
Okay. There's a problem here.
Yes.
I think the Wi-Fi is so slow that the YouTube one keeps
Why are
buffering.
we showing Neville? No, I'm just trying. It's broadcasting, Jenny. Please. Okay, Taboho is here.
Hello, Taboho.
Turn the sound up on that one.
Can you hear me? Taboho.
The mic off on that as well.
We can't hear you, Taboho. We need 4 seats at the front for the family. Can you make sure that we keep the 4? So you can take 1 and then the other 4 need to be kept.
Yeah, see, we don't really want to be broadcasting my face like that.
Neville?
What do you mean it's moved? What do you mean it's moved?
Can you hear me, Carl?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Glad to have you here.
All right, just testing.
Perfect. Yes, we're almost ready. Please hang on, and I hope the connection will stay good enough for you to speak.
I couldn't hear that.
Just hang on, and I hope the connection remains good enough for you to speak. But we can hear you very clearly.
Okay, that's all right. If you can hear me now, you should be able to hear me later.
Yes.
All right.
What can you show me what your slides are?
They'll be on this screen. Yeah, this one here.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah. But Neville is actually going to speak first.
No, but is this the right one now or the last one? What the one is?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We'll copy the string here.
How has that happened? I must have opened the wrong one, but I've given everybody the link now.
Can you change that?
I think so. I don't know. Can I? Refresh that. See.
Then we don't have to change over. Yeah, halfway we don't have to change over. So I need to stand here, right? Whoever's speaking.
Yeah.
So please also just tell the speaker to stand back a bit, you know, if they're not. So, sorry? Yeah, until we start. So you can just film people. Go outside if you want. Be great. Okay. Just want to show people what's happening. They can see the whole
Just live government. Just live
Oh, we seem to have lost the ball. So, Jedi?
All the movies are in one folder.
Call.
Oh, no.
Of my sound.
I'm just noting that Taboho has disappeared.
I can't hear you.
We can't really play this.
Now I can hear you.
So it's just the Gauteng province one. So you have a program.
Neville will now go first. Then there's the Gauteng. Then it's you guys, you're here. Then Tandeka, Sandra is here. Taboho is he gets back on, and then anyone else who comes on, they get on. Then the family, then they will. So it's just the second video, but I should be able to do it, but just in case.
starting now.
Can you hear me talk?
Carl.
Huh?
Neville.
Carl?
Yes.
I'm watching your tour. Who's outside with your phone, camera?
Sorry?
Who's outside filming with your camera?
Who's what with my camera? Sorry, it's really loud here.
Somebody's outside filming outside in the courtyard.
Yes, he's just walking around filming.
I can watch. I'm watching.
After lunch? Yeah. Yeah, we can't. I mean, if they're served now, it's going to be used, especially the individual.
What we can maybe do is attempt to finish this a little bit early, and some people leave anyway. We can grab and bring them to coffee before the husband. Do you recommend that? We'll just sit through.
That's my recommendation. It's going to be.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion. Unless, but the elections, not even the elections,
Hello, Peter.
Somebody's sitting there who's just left it to market. It's going to be very tight on seats. All set.
Guys, it's loads of seats here.
Okay.
Are we on schedule? Hello, Peter. Hello, Peter.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Just
Good. Are we on time?
sorry.
On time. Are we on time?
Yes.
Schedule.
We have 2 minutes, right?
Okay, guys. Neville, so you'll be on first, right? I'm now hooking up the speakers.
Yes.
So whatever you say can be heard by everyone.
Okay.
You're going to need to put Neville on the screen, on the big screen, so people hear when he's... Alright, you don't have to do that. Just flag.
Put me on the screen for 1 minute.
Yes, I'm going to start, Neville, and everyone can hear you, so I'll introduce you now.
Right.
So you need to drag that. Drag the screen. Drag. What shall I do? Let me show you.
Hello.
And then you can move the mouse to that screen to do your work. Okay, he's on, you're going to put him on. Yeah. Yes. Okay, can you maybe put it down? You've seen me twice now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in the room, and ladies and gentlemen all around South Africa and possibly the world who are joining us online, welcome to this, the first of its kind. Unfortunately, a very sad event, and first part to commemorate one of the longest serving, most enthusiastic and kindest planeteers the program has ever seen. His name is Dumisani Ndaba. Today we are meeting to have a short ceremony where some of the students and myself will share their experiences of Dumisani over the years. I'm sorry, I should say, as you can see, that he very sadly passed away over the Christmas holidays. So that's prompted this ceremony where we will share some of our memories of him and how he has affected and influenced young South Africans across the country. We have a program of events today. We hope to keep it short. will be around half an hour, and it will culminate in the awarding of this new prize here, the Dumisani Ndaba Award, which I will talk about in more length shortly in my presentation. I'd firstly just quickly like to introduce to you some of the important people in the audience. We are very, very lucky and very honoured today to have Dumisani's family with us on the front row here. And Mr. Richard Ndaba will be presenting the award for us. So I'd like to thank them very much for joining us today. I'd also like to just highlight that we also have some of the students, past and present. And just to note that the award was initiated by my wife, who's sat at the back, also joining us, and who had the idea that we could raise some money for the awards. We've done that by crowdsourcing. My family and I, we climbed the 3 peaks and got people to sponsor us doing it. And I'm pleased to say that we have reached our target of 5,000 Rand to make this award annually. So thank you very much, everyone. I have on the line the director of the Access program, Dr. Neville Swade. He was down on the timetable last. He is currently the other side of the world in either China or Japan. And he will only be able to join us shortly, so he's going to speak at the start rather than at the end. So I'm just going to hand over to Neville to say a few words now.
Hello, everybody. I'm hoping that you can all hear me. Can you?
Yes.
Okay, well, first let me start by welcoming Dumisani's family to Cape Town and thank them very much for attending today. It's obviously a day of mixed feelings in the sense that we obviously are dealing with a tragedy, and I'm quite sure that the family are still working through this sudden event in everybody's lives, especially in their lives. So I'm just conveying my personal wishes to you and hope that things come together as soon as possible for you. I'm speaking to you from Yokohama in Japan, where I'm attending some meetings, and last week I was in China. So I couldn't be at the workshop this year because I had to attend these meetings. But I am very pleased that I have the opportunity at least to say just a few words at the beginning of the ceremony. Then I have to leave for a meeting. It's quite late in the afternoon here. So I just, as Carlos put it, Dumisani was actually one of our first student bursars. Not only was he involved in Habitable Planet, but he also was one of our bursary students. And I met him, several years ago while he was commencing with his studies of his master's degree. And we all knew him as a fantastic personality, a very passionate guy, a very friendly guy. And so, it's a special tragedy when special people pass so young. And so it's a terrible shock to all of us. And in particular because he was a guy with such great potential, who we knew was going to succeed and go well in his career. So it's a double tragedy. It's a big tragedy in many ways. But I know that he would want us not to mourn too much and rather celebrate his life. And so this idea, which was put together by Carl, is a small gesture which we wholeheartedly support as a way to remember Dumisani. But also, I wanted to inform you that it is my intention, and I stress this is my intention, whether I'll be successful or not, I don't know. But it is my intention when I get back and we start doing the business of the year, then I will speak to the NRF, National Research Foundation, and the CSR, and see if we can't establish a bursary, an undergraduate bursary, at least an undergraduate bursary in the name of Dumisani, which is something I hope we'll be able to do. So I'm going to stop now and just say thank you again to all of you, especially to the family for attending, and thank you, Carl, for arranging this. And I hope that this session goes off well and that we leave with happy memories of Dumisani. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Neville. Thank you for that. Just bear with me with the technology. We don't want to look at ourselves, I don't think.
Unless we have to. I don't know what the whining noise is. Just bear with me 2 seconds, apologies.
Okay, to follow on from those kind words from Neville, I'm sure everybody knows me. I forgot to introduce myself, but I know that most of the room do. My name is Dr. Carl Palmer, and my role at Access is as the Education and Training Portfolio Manager. And as such, I was the one who down the years had most of the interaction with Dumisani. So I'd like to start us off by just saying a few words about Dumisani's involvement in the program over the years and how he made such a significant difference, and to really such a great extent that he was dedicated to and enthusiastic about the program. I want to just firstly, for those who don't know about it, say very briefly what the program was about. The Access program was initiated by a gentleman who I shall come back to later, whose name is Professor George Philander. He is a South African scientist and an extremely eminent scientist worldwide. He grew up in the 1960s, only 2 kilometers from where we're sat now, in the suburb of Observatory. His father was a poet, and he was very lucky to be one of very few black South Africans allowed to attend UCT. But while he was at UCT, as the laws were tightened, he was no longer allowed to study there, and he won a scholarship to Harvard in the US, where he stayed until after 1994 for understandable reasons. And back in after 1994, he came back to South Africa, and one of his main contributions was to initiate the Access program. And specifically, he and I worked on initiating the education and training part, which we now refer to as the Habitable Planet Workshop program. So that was back in 2007. The aim of the program is to address a need in South Africa to have more scientists in order to transition to what we call the knowledge economy, in order to start developing and selling ideas instead of just selling raw materials. The government are behind this, but we struggle because we don't attract enough students. And so that's really the problem that the Access program was trying to address. And so we were aiming to encourage more black South Africans to pursue careers in science research nationally. The idea of the program is to use a novel and positive approach to teach about climate change. It was initially, back in 2007, a holiday program for undergraduates, but now, as we'll see, it offers opportunities at all levels, and Dumisani was involved in everything. The next slide, please. Dumisani started in the program in 2011, so just a few years after its conception. He first attended in the Eastern Cape. I have to confess, when I have a class of 50 students, I don't tend to get to talk to any one of them that much, so I don't remember much from his first workshop. What I did find out when I came to talk about him was that he's definitely camera shy. He's in basically none of the photos at all. At the start, I had to struggle to find one of him on the beach there. I should say at this point in his career, he was just graduated from UKZN and had moved to UFS. So, sorry, JD, can I grab? So come. He was one of the students who shone at the workshops and decided to apply to come back and teach other young South Africans. So back in 2011, we had the idea that the workshop would be best taught not by older members of staff like myself, but by alumni from the program. So in 2011, we set up a teachers training workshop where we trained alumni from the program to come back and actually do the teaching. Dumisani was amongst that first ever group who trained to be core lecturers. Some pictures of him here at the workshop. I'm told by the family that he never wanted to give up on this top that he received in his college days. And you'll see it appears in lots of the photos. It was here that Dumisani made a brave decision. As a student without really a numerical background, he chose to do one of the most numerical talks in the program. I want to just give you a context of what that was. In our program for undergraduates, this is the curriculum that we teach. We investigate, it's called Habitable Planet because we investigate all the reasons that the planet is habitable. And to do so, we start by simplifying the problem down to maths and physics. And so right at the top here, what we do is we say, well, you know, Mars is too hot, Mars is too cold, Venus is too hot, maybe Earth is habitable because it's the right distance from the sun in between. And we set up a simple mathematical model where we get rid of all of the complexity from the Earth. So we get rid of the plants, the animals, the mountains, the oceans, the weather, and we consider just a ball of rock the right distance from the sun to see if it would be habitable. And it requires you to do some high school physics. You need to know about conservation of energy, about albedo, what else is there? I can't think now, Vine's law and how objects emit radiation. So this is something quite unrelated to Dumisani's chosen field of town planning, and yet he chose to do this first talk, this one where we present the mathematics. So this is first picture you can't quite read of him ever having a go at it. In the core lecturers workshop, as it's now called, we get everybody, and by the way, we have a group here who are just about to start this workshop this year. They're amongst the audience. This was the first ever one. They will all be doing this over the next 2 days, where they actually take one of the lectures from the Habitable Planet workshops and they practice doing it to a small group. So this is Dumisani practicing doing his talk to the small group. You can't quite read it, but it says "Not Too Hot, Not Too Cold," the title. And it was a title that he became famous for. Dumisani was absolutely brilliant at giving this lecture, not because he knew lots of physics, but because he didn't. And he invited the audience to learn from somebody else who was also struggling to learn it. And he perfected it brilliantly. And you will see also he applied that and used humor, which I will show later. And I particularly like, he was always absolutely brilliant at motivating and talking to the other students. This picture still appears on our advertising for the core lecturers workshop every year of him talking to Jerry there. And so that's precipitated some years where, and I have to confess, I give these workshops all the time, but back in 2011, things were still quite new to me, and working with students giving the talks was also quite new, and we had to train them. There was a point where I couldn't envisage giving the workshop if it wasn't starting with Dumisani doing Not Too Hot. It was always a sure start to the workshops. He came with us internationally. The first time we took a workshop abroad to the Habitable Planet in Namibia. That's him there in Namibia driving a bus. And that's at the Tropic of Capricorn as part of the group, the Habitable Planet in Namibia. We make a big thing about talking about the tropics and the equator in our lectures, so it was quite a treat to go and see it. There he is next at the University of the Free State, and you can see him there comparing Venus, Earth and Mars during his talk. And then one I particularly wanted to show, a photo I particularly like, is that at this time I really got to know Dumisani very well and know that he was continually making a big effort with the ladies. this photo really illustrates the reaction that he often got, but bless him, he tried. I remember fondly that in Namibia, on most evenings he excused himself from coming to dinner because he said he wanted to save money, but he almost always persuaded at least one female to stay at home with him. And so given that, I am not in the least bit surprised that the family very kindly sent me some documents from Dumisani, and some of them included what he had pinned on his fridge before he passed away. Therefore, given my experience of this, I'm not at all surprised that on the top of his list of things to invent, number 1 and number 2 involve condoms. Number 2 that I can read is boxes with condom pouch. I'm not sure, I can't read what number 1 is. Maybe someone can. Dumisani didn't just stop there, contributing as a core lecturer. He took an Access bursary, which he won, and became an Access Global Change Scholar. This is him on the West Coast at the first ever meeting of Access students. And he also worked implicitly with Professor Philander